Now, welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
All right, well, my boy Tony Gilroy,
Jeez.
did
Okay.
an interview with Rotten Tomatoes.
He's been doing a lot of interviews. He did
It's 'cause
the
everyone wants
live
to talk to
stream
him, yeah.
event yesterday, too.
Yes, he did,
Which,
with
as
other
the
actors.
time of recording this, we have not watched yet.
First, they asked him about Celebration London. You know, he took photos with some cosplayers, and he said it was fantastic. You don't really know what people are going to jump on so much. He was surprised people jumped on and were like, how many guards are there? Never more than 12.
How did he not know that was going to be?
He said it was a good line for the episode. It caught momentum he hadn't anticipated.
That was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
How did he not know? As soon as I heard that line, I knew that was going down in the history of Star Wars. Because that's the moment you knew Keena was on board.
Like the phrases like, the power doesn't panic, and how Luthen is going to, I'll burn my life to make a sunrise I know I'll never see. And beautiful, beautiful phrases. Very, very quotable.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And even Cassian Andor's simple try, meant to motivate Cassian. You see Nemec's manifesto. You just gotta try. It's important. And then moving into the future, every 3 episodes is going to be its own story, we know, of Cassian's joining of the rebellion's meager beginnings, you could say. And Gilroy mentions that there is a, quote, challenge in that negative space. What are you going to do with that year-long absence in between? And are you going to try and finesse it, or are you going to just go for it? My default starting point is always to try to really go for it. What happens if we drop the needle on 3 days of story, a year apart each time, and try not to spoon-feed all the catching up?
That's kind of what Star Wars does a lot of the time, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, but it seems weird in a series, doesn't it? To be like, here's 3 days, here's a point in time in a year, fast forward, we're at another year, without getting any, like, here's what you missed.
But the funny thing is, when you look at the Star Wars movies, they tend to be like a day, 2 days, a couple days. They're not like long stories. They're just like,
you're right.
They're snippets of a much, much bigger story. They're the important snippets.
So really what he's doing is, just as he said, making 4 movies, you could say.
He is. That's exactly what he's making, 4 Star Wars movies.
He's making the Cassian Andor saga.
Yeah, that we have the Skywalker saga, and now we have the Andor saga.
Episodes of...
Yeah, we've gotten like episodes 1 through 3 or kind of 4 because it's kind of wonky with this, because episode like 7 is kind of its own thing in a way. It's a transitional episode. But anyway, I'm getting off track.
He kind of talked about when he was writing this, how this format and stuff, everything's kind of an experiment in a sense. This form, how they did it, we're doing a block of time, another block of time, and jumping around like that. And that he's really excited to try it and see how the audience, how they latch onto this. They say then there's the ultimate experiment. The fact that we all know where Cassian's story goes, where it ends. We've seen it. What Tony says on this is that limitations are liberating creatively by and large. And this is the perfect frame because only one of the characters is going where he's going. We have about 15, 20 other people that we care about, and 10 of them that we really care about. And that choir is really, in many ways, it's the more complicated and more meaty part of the show.
I envy that person who has never seen Rogue One, doesn't know what happens in it, and has either already seen Season 1 of Andor and is waiting for Rogue One or doesn't even know, and is going to watch Season 2 or at some point watches Season 1 and Season 2, and then goes into Rogue One blind and doesn't know.
That's got to be exciting.
I need some kind of memory wiping ability so I can go and watch all of Andor.
Only one of us has to, though, because the other one has to know how to
the other one has to report back and
so
see how they took it, yeah.
One thing that Gilroy pointed out when he's talking about his rebel characters in particular is that they haven't been truly tested yet as to their devotion. We know Nemec was a hardcore follower.
Yeah.
We know Luthen.
Well, Luthen, yeah. No one's doubting Luthen's dedication to the cause. And if you do, he's got a lecture for you.
Yes, he does. But what Gilroy says is you don't have to find out how committed you are to true belief until things get difficult. It's just always waiting and something happens and suddenly there's Huns invading your city, it's under siege, or suddenly the king is dead, and whatever the thing that happens, it forces people to suddenly be in over their heads. The interesting thing about the show is that you have a bunch of people who probably would be very happy going through their lives without ever confronting that question, but they don't have a choice.
It reminds me of a modern-day internet where you can easily post on Twitter what you support and what you stand for and what you mean, but it's easy to do that in words. It's a little different when you actually have to do it in actions.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's kind of what he's talking about.
It is 100%.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, these are people who...
It's easy to say for the rebellion.
Been fine for the rest of her life, just selling parts on the side, running her shop. Exactly. She doesn't have to be put into the hard position of now, am I fighting the Empire?
Yeah, am I actually fighting the rebellion?
Am I really in the rebellion?
Yeah. Am I a rebel, or am I somebody who's trying to profit off of this and making a little bit better of a living?
Same with Cassian, as we just reviewed the most recent... our most recent review was for episode 4.
Which they haven't seen yet, but we did it. You'll see it soon.
In which we talk a little bit about the fact that he, at the beginning, he's like, Luthen, just drop me off somewhere. Give me my money. I'm out.
Yeah, I don't.
He doesn't believe in this. He doesn't care. Yeah. And by the end of Rogue One, he's ready to die for the rebellion. Yeah. He does. He gives his life for the rebellion.
Spoiler alert for that one person out there.
That one person who doesn't know, yes. So it's really interesting because these are people who still have a choice. And then they're finding along the way that their convictions aren't giving them a choice anymore. They have to act.
No, that's exactly right. You are when things are really bad, you get put into a position where you either give up or you have to fight. It's fight or flight, essentially.
Right. And then they asked him a little bit about Alan Tudyk coming back as K2SO. What does that mean? Because obviously fans of Rogue One really latched on to K2.
He was fantastic.
He was fantastic. He wasn't over the top. He was perfect.
He was close to over the top. He worked because it's a droid. If that had been anything but a droid, kind of an eccentric droid, I don't think it works. But being a droid, you're like, yep, it's just a kind of an oddly programmed droid. And I think we find out why he's an oddly programmed droid, because he's B2 EMO.
That's my theory.
I know it is. I'm not trying to steal your thunder.
What he says about this, about K2 and Cassian coming together again, he says, I am fully aware of the bar that I have laid down about how to make this reunion. But if you're going to make people wait this long, it better be good when it gets there. I love the passion he shows in this. I love that he has the answers, he knows them, and he's going to give them to us.
He's all in on it. That's what's been really good. Like, you can tell. I mean, him just saying how much it means to him is awesome. But, like, everything else he says as well lets you know how much Gilroy has put into this. Right. He has given everything. He is the Luthen of the story.
I mean, he said in one of the other interviews we covered that this might be the work of his crowning achievement of his lifetime.
Yeah, he said it was the most important thing he's ever done.
Mm-hmm. He is immensely proud.
And he should be. I think I wonder how surprised he was by the reaction, because, you know, anytime you create something, you're nervous about how people are going to respond to it. And you're creating Star Wars, and you're doing something really different from anything that's been done before in Star Wars, at least visually. And then all of a sudden, the response is not great, not in terms of like the number of people, but those who watched are like, wow, this is amazing.
Exactly. The last thing he says in the interview is, I'm sure this will be the most important piece of work I ever get to do. So I'm very proud, and we're very eager to share it.
Yeah, we're eager to watch it and try to review it 3 episodes a week.
It's gonna be a race instead of the marathon, but
it's gonna be I think we got to take the turtle instead of the hare approach here. Like, the turtle wins the race, or the tortoise wins the race eventually. And what we will do is, like I said, I'll probably on my channel have a overview the night of, and then
do a breakdown of each of the episodes. And
I'm not entirely sure how we'll do it on this channel, but it'll probably be something similar where we'll go into each individual episode.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. A lot of news from Naboo and just other.
Yeah, plus I'll have plenty of articles, things coming out from other places.
We'll be all Andor all the time for a little while there. For about a month, the Andor month.
The month of Door.
Month Door.
Until we find out that Visions will be dropping on May the 4th, and right in the middle
of there, so we can
wreaking havoc.
We like to do that as well. Each individual episode, we like to do that for Visions in the past. So it's gonna be a fun. I'm looking forward to it. Like, I don't care. I love talking Star Wars.
And we'll get to do the tier list again. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that was
the full and complete tier list.
Yeah. And we did a tier list of all the individual shows on Disney Plus, which not everybody hated me for, which is always my fear of tier lists, because like people disagree. Like, how could you put that in a C tier? That is an A tier. You're crazy, Thor. You're so stupid.
Hey, wrap it up, Thor.
Oh, I'm rambling. Go figure. But anyway, I think that is all we got for you this time. Now it is your turn. Take to the comments below. Tell us what you think of any and all of today's news, what Gilroy has to say, either from this interview or the previous ones we've covered. Whatever the case may be, leave those comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.